It's been nearly 2 years since residents at the Riverview Terrace apartments in Adrian were forced to evacuate due to structural issues. And since then, the building has remained vacant, but its website shows there are plans to reopen. And our Michael Sandlin went up to Adrian to find out when and if the original residents plan to come back too.
2 years ago, Richard and Cynthia Houles were inside their unit at the Riverview Terrace apartments when they received a knock at the door, telling them that they only had 20 minutes to pack up their things and leave because the whole building had been condemned. They thought they would never see home again, but today they were able to come back inside and sign a new lease. It was an emotional reunion as Richard and Cynthia Houles signed the application for a new unit in the building they call home.
It made me tears of joy. It really did.
2 years after they and the other 162 units were forced into a mass exodus after cracks were found in the building's foundation.
It's been a really hard transition. You know, we've been like all over the state, and then we finally settled out at Adrian Inn, and that's been a transition.
The Adrian Inn became the temporary home base for displaced residents like the Houles. They say it's been less than ideal and far longer than the few months promised by Medallion management.
I'd like for the building, I'd like for Medallion to say, okay, it's going to take this long or whatever. We all want to hear that, but we haven't heard that.
So what was the holdup? Scott Belts with Medallion Management says at first it was thought it would be a simple repair, which is why the company promised a quick turnaround. But as more details came in, crews realized they actually had a massive $7 million project on their hands.
There has been several roadblocks along the way, and we've been able to get over them. It's just, we want to make sure the building is 100% safe.
Which is why the team is waiting for one final inspection from the city before it reopens at the end of the month. The apartment complex is starting to accept leases again, and the Houles family says despite all the hardship, they're just happy to finally be coming home.
You know, and a lot of people at first when we were going through this, a lot of people wanted to lay the blame game. I mean, well, you can't do that. I mean, it happened. Yeah, it was a hard transition, and we made it through it. So let's just come home and rejoice and be happy.
And the Houles family tells me they're not the only ones who plan on returning. They've kept in contact with many people that used to live in the building, and they all say they plan on filing an application and getting their old apartments back as well. Reporting in Adrian, I'm Michael Sandlin for WTOL 11.